Hi guys, welcome back to April After Dark. Happy New Year. We are now in 2023. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season and a great start to the new year so far. So today I have been wanting to do something like this for a very long time. I am going to go over my top 10 horror films of 2022. I made notes on it. I feel like 2022 was such a prolific year in horror in general, so I didn't want to pass this up. I know I'm a little bit late and it is now mid-January, but better late than never. So with that being said, let's get right into it. These movies are not, I have them in an order, but it's not by ranking at all. It's by when I saw them / when they were released. I feel like if I was going to try to rank these movies, my head might explode and then you would never get this video. And it would just be too difficult for me to do. Starting at the very beginning, the first movie on my list is Fresh. This movie is on Hulu currently, and that is where we watched it when it first was available to stream on Hulu. And it is, it's funny. It's horror, it's thriller, and it's kind of got an interesting rom-com vibe to it. That's how the movie starts, and it stars Sebastian Stan, who actually played the role of Tommy Lee in the Hulu series Pam and Tommy, and Daisy Edgar Jones. And so it's about her and, her history with, the horrors of modern dating in today's society. And, even shows her on a date that is going horrible. So it's very relatable, funny, and then, she has her meet cute with this guy at a grocery store, and they really hit it off. Things seem to be going really well. Very romantic comedy, like I said, and then things just kind of flip on its head into thriller and horror. This movie is very stylish, very slick. It kind of, for me, it has a lot of American Psycho vibes I was kind of getting from it, but that might just be me that sees that. But it really good balancing act of horror and comedy in this one. And there are a lot of twists and turns that I did not see coming. This movie was a lot of fun, very entertaining, and best of both worlds, comedy and horror. Next up, we have a Ti West film. There are two, in fact, that are on this list that are Ti West films. I'm sure you can guess what they are at this point. So, X is the second movie that is on my list. I really was surprised by how much I really enjoyed this film. When I first saw the trailers for it, I was completely getting Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes from it. And with the title being X, I wasn't sure if it was part of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Even the way the camera angles were in the trailers was making me think that. The clothing, they're all in a van, it's a group of people, the outfits, the cops, the way they look with their cowboy hats on, and that they're out in, a rural area of Texas. I totally was thinking it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre reimagined or something. So initially I wasn't really wanting to see another film like that, but then I was very pleasantly surprised. And it is about, first off, it stars Mia Goth, Kid Cudi, Brittany Snow, and Jenna Ortega. And they are a film crew in a van going to, Texas in this rural area, and are, renting a little farmhouse to film an adult film. And the couple that they're renting this from, this is an elderly couple, they're kind of a little bit weird and very much in more of a, more of a prudish generation than what everybody else is portraying in this one in the 70s, which I feel like it's kind of almost about that sexual liberation that people were having back in the 70s, and then mixing it or clashing it with these people that are from, the 1900, like early 1900s. And it's a very good social commentary on everybody's fear of aging, which is definitely one of my subconscious fears that I don't like to admit. It is an A24 film, and you can watch it on Showtime, I believe, right now. Anyway, I love this movie so much. It is a great slasher. The acting is really good. I absolutely loved Mia Goth's character, Maxine, and I loved it so much that I was actually, one of my costumes for Halloween this past year was Maxine, and I did a lot of photos with it. I had a lot of fun doing TikToks of it, and it was just a really fun, easy costume, and I love this movie so much. I think I've watched it once, and then I started it over again, and that is just not something I do all the time, but I really loved it. I love a good slasher. I love the social commentary on aging. A lot of the kills are really good, if they can be good. A really cool thing too about Mia Goth is that she is just a very mesmerizing person, especially in this film, and she actually plays 2 roles in this movie, but I don't want to say what they are, so as to not spoil anything. But the soundtrack was great. I love when stuff is taking place in an older, a past decade, and you get to hear music, really good music from that time period. And there's so many things I love about this movie. It's great. It's got some really good one-liners, and yes, I just can't say enough good things about X. Coming in at number 3 is a movie that is currently streaming on Shudder, but it's called Watcher, and this movie stars Maika Monroe. This was also written and directed by Chloe Okuno, and I saw this in the theater first, and then when it came to Shudder in October, I watched it again at home, and I really do enjoy this movie. It is definitely more of thriller movie with some horror elements thrown in, but it is about a young woman who moves to Bucharest in Romania with her husband for her husband's job, and as she's there, she's basically left alone a lot because he is doing so many things with his new job, so she's very isolated, and she doesn't speak the language at all, and she feels like she is being surveilled by some stranger, some ominous stranger, and it's very Hitchcockian, and very there's lots of tension. It's kind of slow paced, but if you stick with it, the ending is it's a banger of an ending, and I mean, it's not a good ending, but it's a good ending, if you know what I mean. And I really love Maika Monroe in a lot of these roles. She is from It Follows, if you're not familiar with her. And, the way the movie is shot, you don't know if she's being stalked, and it seems like nobody is taking her seriously. The police, her husband, it's almost, for lack of a better word, because I know this term gets thrown around a lot, like too loosely, but it's almost like she is being gaslit or being made to feel like she is paranoid and crazy or imagining things, like the line where the husband's like, he could just be looking at the woman who is looking at him, and then the cops, they speak, Romanian around her, and that she doesn't understand what they're saying, and sometimes we don't even know what they're saying, but I think they did that on purpose to create this, anxiety, this female anxiety of being stalked and watched and preyed upon, and it's a really good movie, and it's got some twists and turns in it as well, and I do recommend it. So yes, Watcher, you can watch on Shudder. Coming in at number 4 is the movie Jordan Peele's Nope. You can currently stream this on Peacock if you have Peacock. And this is about a brother and a sister that their father had a freak accident. I don't want to get into too much detail on any of these with plots or anything in case nobody's seen these movies. But you know, there's something ominous in the sky going on with the clouds. And I want to say this, okay, so this is definitely, it's got a lot of the history of original Western movies and mashed in with sci-fi and some horror elements thrown in there. I was emotional watching it. I was nervous watching it at times. I was laughing watching it. And yeah, I just kind of went through a roller coaster of emotions watching this movie, and it was really good. So they're just trying to figure out what is in the sky or what is happening around their little desert area farm. And it's also a movie about movie producing. There's Daniel Kaluuya, who was also in Jordan Peele's first movie, Get Out, and Keke Palmer, and they are great in this movie. There's lots of, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's lots of themes that can be interpreted in so many different ways, and it's kind of brilliant when that is done. And I think that was definitely Jordan Peele's goal, one of the many goals he probably had in making this movie. I know it's kind of a polarizing film. A lot of people just did not like it or get it, and then there's people like me that absolutely loved it. And yeah, I really loved it. It's funny, it's got heart to it, and it's definitely eerie and creepy. Okay, coming in at number 5, we have another A24 film, although when I was watching this, it did not feel or seem like an A24 film, and that's neither a good or a bad thing. It was just something that I noticed. Like, usually when I see A24 films, they kind of have an oddness to them, and this is definitely not an odd movie. The movie is called Bodies, 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 and this was also directed by a female, Helena Rain. I hope I'm saying that right. This came out late summer. It stars Pete Davidson, and it is about some young rich friends that get back together to hang out, and they're kind of partying at the character that Pete Davidson's playing. I can't remember his character's name. Parents' mansion or dad's mansion, and they're having, it's an interesting concept. They're going there, and they're you know, hanging out for a hurricane party because there is an imminent hurricane coming. And so, you know, electricity goes out and stuff like that happens, and then one by one people are starting to die. And this is after they're playing a game called Bodies, 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 hence the title. And it's very much mystery, slasher, comedy, and it's definitely a commentary on the newer generation, Gen Z, with all the terminology that they use. And you would know this if you watch the trailer, which initially when I saw the trailer, I thought, I mean, I knew it was going to be a comedy or something of some sort, or a parody maybe even, but it's actually really funny. And I wasn't expecting, you know, it's very, very much like Clue, you know, meets Gen Z in a hurricane party. Very fun watch. It's rewatchable, and it's just a good old-fashioned slasher. It almost, for me, has people maybe, you know, way later on down the line will compare this, like, it'll be a movie that people will see as classic, kind of like me being from the 80s, or born in the 80s, watching the old slasher April Fool's Day. It definitely reminds me of that movie. But they don't turn out the same way, so don't worry about any spoilers if you've seen April Fool's Day. But it reminds me of like a modern day April Fool's Day slasher film. And at number 6 is the other Ti West film that I mentioned earlier, and it is actually the prequel to X, and this movie is called Pearl. It is starring Mia Goth again, and the interesting thing is that they did film this back to back. Just happened to be that way, and it was kind of a treat to get both these movies within, you know, several months of each other. That's just very unheard of. And Pearl is actually about the elderly woman that is in X. And it's her backstory, and it's very much Wizard of Oz and meets Hollywood, but it's taking place 1918, so kind of during the first, like, World War I, which I don't really see that a lot in a lot of horror films, which I really like that. The color palette's great. There's lots of vivid, bright colors, which made me think of the Wizard of Oz, and there's other things about it that would make you think of The Wizard of Oz. And, you know, she is stuck on a farm with her, you know, with her parents, and she wants to be in Hollywood. And this movie is way more character driven, so it is all about Pearl. And there is a pandemic that's going on at the time, which was kind of interesting to see because of, you know, the pandemic that we've had the last several years. So it was kind of interesting to see the use of masks and all that. And there is a monologue at the very end that is just, I mean, it's just incredible. And the very ending scene of the movie where, well, Mia Goth just does something that is just so incredible. And it's like she is, a lot of people have compared her character in this film to the female Joker, the Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker, which I love Joker, that movie. So it's a great movie. I loved it. And she's truly mesmerizing again, very haunting, unhinged, and it's a great prequel. I love it, and I cannot wait for Maxine. I just can't wait. And at number 7 is it's a movie that I was very surprised by. Terrifier 2, which was the Halloween movie that I did not know that I wanted or needed. And so this is a follow-up, obviously a sequel to the first Terrifier, which came out in 2016. I have seen that a few times. It's not my favorite. It's very gory, but it's not my favorite. But that being said, it's so rare to see a sequel to a horror film and you like the sequel more than the first movie. And this is one of those ones where I love part 2 better than the original. And it definitely puts Art the Clown in a new sphere of, you know, the great horror monsters of this time period. And he doesn't even, you know, he really gets the creepy, uncomfortable clown down. And he's brutal. He's very brutal. This movie is also extremely gory. There were reports of people throwing up in the theaters. I mean, I understand why, but I think because I'm April After Dark, or you would know with this channel, I've seen, I mean, nothing really bothers me in that way. I'm not ever going to be so sick to my stomach and actually puke from watching a movie. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because that might be what happens this year to me. But it follows the story of Art the Clown again, and somehow he is brought back into the world, and he's terrorizing a young girl and her little brother. And yeah, it's just a fun Halloween movie, and if you liked the first one, I think you'll like the second one. If you just want something kind of mindless to watch, you know, during Halloween season, I would recommend this one. And it is currently streaming on Screambox. If you have Screambox, you could probably do a free trial and watch it on there. But it's a fun Halloween movie. It's definitely disgusting and very gory, but it's still fun, and it made my top 10 list. Okay, next up is Barbarian. You can currently stream this on HBO Max. And this movie really was a huge, pleasant surprise. It is not at all what you think is going to be about. So this stars Bill Skarsgård, who is also known as Penny, the newer version of Pennywise. And when I was watching this, I kept waiting for him to somehow turn into Pennywise. I mean, of course that doesn't happen, but it's so weird to see him in a movie, and that's immediately what I correlate him to. And so this stars it's about a girl that goes, you know, out of town on an interview, and she has booked an Airbnb. She gets there, it's like pouring down rain, crazy weather, and it turns out that this guy, the guy Bill Skarsgård is playing, is also staying there. And you see all this in the trailer, and so she eventually finds out that there is much more to be scared of in this house than just staying the night with some random stranger that she just met. So this, and I don't think anybody could see what was coming in this at all. It is very funny, it's weird, it's creepy, it's got lots of great jump scares, and it's just, I mean, this is the kind of horror film where it's 5 stars in my opinion, and I mean, it'd be fun. It's fun to watch in a group. It's fun to watch with somebody who's never seen it. And I love how they really misled you with the trailer. And that's all I'm going to say about it. It's a great movie. It's hilarious, and it's got different acts in it. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It is a complete trip. And at number 9, I have another Maika Monroe movie, and it went straight to streaming on Paramount Plus. So if you have Paramount Plus, you can watch it. It is called Significant Other, and like I said, it stars Maika Monroe and Jake Lacy, and they are a couple that, they're going backpacking on a camping trip in the Pacific Northwest, and the question is posed, how well do you really know your significant other? This movie is definitely, it took me by surprise. It's not at all what I was expecting it was going to be. Very much kind of in the vein of how Barbarian was to me, where it's not what it seems like it's going to be. And it has several twists and turns in it that really flip it on its head in the end. It's very funny in the right moments, and it was an interesting concept. And I don't want to get too much into that, but it's called Significant Other for a reason. But it is definitely not what you think it's going to be about. Last movie for the year of 2022 is The Menu. It is currently streaming on HBO Max. I want to say it got on HBO Max right when January started, so it's fairly new on there. And it is a delightful little treat. Very pleasant surprise again. Seems to be the running theme for a lot of these movies this year that I watched that are on my top 10 list, is they're all very surprising by how much I liked them and how good they were. But The Menu is about a couple that goes onto a cruise ship boat, and they've spent, it seems like all these people are spending a lot of money to go onto this boat where this world-class chef is there to cook them a very lavish meal. But there are a lot of surprises and twists and turns that come with this entire thing. It's definitely a comedy. And it's not about cannibalism, and that's initially, when I saw the trailer for it, that's initially what I thought it was going to be about. And I might have thought that because there's some other movies that had come out around the same time that do have to do with that. But it is not about that at all. It's very funny, darkly funny. And it's definitely kind of a funny commentary on foodies and people that love to, the way they talk on it. It's like some of the people that you're watching eat on this boat it's just funny to watch them eat the food and have this commentary about it and their description of it. And it definitely, it's definitely a commentary on this generation's foodie. And I think even foodies would think that. It's very funny, and I don't know, it was a nice little surprise. And so, yeah, there's lots of treats that happened on this boat. So I highly recommend this movie if you like. I mean, it was definitely one. I wasn't like super excited to watch it, but once I started watching it, I was like, it completely had me engrossed and engulfed in like, what is going to happen next? Like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I have to see what's going to happen because this is just the craziest concept. And it's just really good. And then, so I recommend that, and it's on HBO Max, like I said earlier. And it has Anya Taylor-Joy in this as well. So lots of great, with Ralph Fiennes, lots of great acting. John Leguizamo's in it as well. It's funny, and it's really good. So I do have an honorable mention, and that would be the movie Smile. I was not expecting to get such a kick out of this movie, just like I didn't all the other ones. And it's about a doctor, a young doctor, and she has a patient so this patient basically unalives herself in front of her, and then it seems like there is something following her, you know, from that point on. Lots of really great jump scares in this movie, and it very much follows in the footsteps in the same, you know, idea or theme from like It Follows, The Ring, The Grudge, very much in those types of themes of a horror film. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun to watch in a group. You know, it obviously has, like you would imagine, all the normal tropes that you would see in these types of horror films, but they're still fun to watch with a lot of people. And you know, it'll make you look at smiles differently. Well, in particular, this type of smile. And I loved the marketing that went around this movie, with the people that were showing up at, you know, baseball games and whatnot, and they had that weird smile. It also reminded me a little bit of Truth or Dare, but this one was actually pretty good. The ending is pretty crazy, and just insane, really. I could see them making a trilogy out of this, or at least a sequel. Like I said, it's very much, it was fun. It was just a really good, fun horror movie. And what are your top favorite horror films from 2022? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that is it. As always, have a very creepy night, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.